it's Dr. Dre with A Better Way MD TV, and I want to welcome you back to week 5. Can you believe we're at week 5 out of 60 for permanent weight loss? And I'm really excited about this week because I'm actually going to talk to you a little bit about food and getting started on the weight loss process. But first, I want to go back to week 4. Did you commit to yourself? Did you commit to being curious and uncomfortable? And did you commit to never quitting? I hope the answer to all 3 of those questions was a resounding yes, and you're ready to go. Now, how did you like the hunger scale? Did you find that it worked? Or did you feel like your brain was on a rotary phone and your stomach was texting? If that's the way you felt, no worries. There's nothing going wrong. It just has to do with the way that you are metabolizing food and the type of food that you're taking in. And this week's video will tell you how to correct that. So let's get started. Let's talk about the epidemic of weight gain that is going on all over the world, but especially in our country. And over the last 50 years, we've seen our rates of weight gain go just like that. It's been crazy, but there's a physiologic reason why, and I'm going to talk to you all about it. So one of the reasons, the main reason that we gain weight is because we are overfueling our bodies. And by overfueling, I mean we are just taking in bits of energy that cumulatively is more than what our body needs to function. So let's talk about those energy blocks. We have 3 major macronutrients. That is the carbohydrates, the fats, and the protein. Now, when we take in a carbohydrate, it is broken down ultimately into a sugar, and it's a really efficient way to get energy. We can also break down fat in a process called lipolysis to fatty acids that can also be used as energy. It takes a little bit more energy to use that as energy, but it still can be broken down. And then finally, protein can be broken down into its individual amino acids, which can actually be used for gluconeogenesis if you're really in dire straits. Now, what has happened over the last 50 years is that our food has gotten more technologically advanced, meaning it's been more processed. So everything's down to basically a fine powder of flour and sugar. And it's very easy to get that energy in and to break it down and use it. Unfortunately, we're just getting too much. And so we're storing it as a nice little round midsection. And as we add more fat, we add more weight. And the cycle continues. And this is totally normal and expected because we have evolved to prefer the efficient types of energy, which are basically the simple carbohydrates. If you think about it, when you're released out into the woods, say when you're naked and afraid, you look for the easy sources of food like berries or nuts, things that you can break down and eat and get with minimal energy. Now, as we evolved from hunter-gatherers to a more agricultural-based society, we then had to grow our food, but that still was a really efficient way to get energy. But now, since the 50s, we've gone from growing our own food to just mixing things up and eating it, or you don't even have to make it. You just open the package and eat it. I mean, how easy is that? So, why do we keep eating like this if we know that's why we are gaining weight? And it comes simply down to the fact that your brain has a notification system that it uses to reward you for getting efficient energy. And it's called the release of a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is our feel-good neurotransmitter. And we all want to feel good. So the more processed foods you have, the bigger the dopamine release is. Think about how you feel from eating, say, a bowl of ice cream versus eating butter versus eating a hamburger. Much prefer the ice cream, right? Yeah, it's because your brain just notifies you that you've had simple carbohydrates and you're getting that little dopamine ding. So how do we lose weight? We simply bring down that desire, which is created for the desire for the dopamine hit, by simply stopping eating flour and sugar. Now, I know your brain just screamed and said, oh, hell no, I'm not giving up flour and sugar. But my friends, if you want to lose weight, you've got to do it, because when you give up flour and sugar, you give up that dopamine notification system, which means that you bring down your desire, and it helps to reset your metabolism so that your hunger scale works. So with my clients, we do no flour, no sugar for the first 6 to 8 weeks. And here's what I'm going to promise you. In 6 weeks, which will be week 11, I will tell you how to add that back in if you agree to give up no flour, no sugar. All you got to do is read the labels. No flour, no sugar of any kind, fake or otherwise. Just give it up. And yes, it's going to be 5 to 7 days of one of Dante's circles of hell. Yes, it will. But once you're through that 5 to 7 days, you'll be amazed at how much better you feel, how much your cravings come down, and how over time you can actually tell when you're hungry and you're not hungry or hangry all of the time. Now, if you're one of those people that are like, I am not giving up flour and sugar like that, no way, no how, you can do it gradually. Give up your sweetened drinks first, and then maybe ice cream or candy or pastries, and then bread, and then maybe pasta. And over time, you're going to give up those simple carbohydrates, and you will bring your dopamine level down. It's just going to take longer. But we've got 60 weeks, so if that's the way you want to do it, you go for it. I don't care. Just give it up some way, okay? So now, when you give up the simple carbohydrates, it's basically like you've given your brain and your stomach a brand new iPhone. And so they just can communicate so much better and very clearly. And while you're giving up the simple sugars, I want you to add back in the complex carbohydrates. So what's a complex carbohydrate? Vegetables, vegetables, vegetables. Whole grains like farro, amaranth, brown rice, steel-cut oats. Grains that are hard to break down. And then fruit. You can eat just regular fruit. Just be careful. Your body is designed to take maybe a half a cup of berries a day. So be really careful with how much fruit. But yes, fruit you can eat as well, along with beans. Beans are a great source of complex carbohydrates and protein. Speaking of protein, make sure you get in enough protein. Try to stay away from the red meat type protein. Definitely don't want you eating a bunch of bacon, but eat some healthy protein, and then healthy fat like olive oil, avocados, salmon, healthy, good for you fats. All right, that's what I got for you this week. No flour, no sugar. I am 100% convinced that you can do this, and you will be 100% proud of yourself when you do. All right, so that's week 5. No flour, no sugar. Please don't hate me, and please come back for week 6. All right, take care. Have a great week. I'll see you next week.